The Labor Party today finalised who will be on its front bench, but is it any closer to working out why it's lost the election? As Anthony Albanese formally became leader today, Bill Shorten, the outgoing leader, laid out why he thinks he lost. He was standing in front of a still shell-shocked caucus of Labor MPs, their first post-election meeting. The party thought it would be in government this week, getting on with its big reforming agenda by now. Bill Shorten is clearly still coming to grips with why that's not happening. This afternoon, he gave the reasons for the defeat as he sees them, and notably, none of them were about his own policy or campaign flaws.
And rather than commentators' snap judgments or hindsight masquerading as insight, it is important that we take our time to reflect. But obviously we were up against corporate leviathans, a financial behemoth, spending unprecedented hundreds of millions of dollars, advertising, telling lies, spreading fear. They got what they wanted.
Clive Palmer, the media, the property industry, government lies. No reflection from Bill Shorten there on where he might have gone wrong. Now, fair enough. A loss like this wouldn't be easy on anyone. But if Bill Shorten is going to continue sitting around the shadow cabinet table, and he will, he'll need to accept that Labor's policies were, at the very least, part of the problem and work out how they need fixing. Anthony Albanese, at least, was more willing to accept responsibility for this defeat.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the incredible honour and privilege of being the 21st leader of our great party. I accept my share as a senior shadow minister in the show for the fact that we weren't successful. I think the senior members, all of us, have to accept responsibility. We received the support of 1 in 3 Australians as their first preference. In Queensland, that figure was 1 in 4. We need to do better. Labor supports economic growth as the core part of our agenda, because jobs are always first, second and third priority of this great party.
That caucus meeting this afternoon confirmed Anthony Albanese as leader and Richard Marles as deputy leader. Penny Wong remains the Senate leader and Christina Keneally becomes the new deputy Senate leader in place of Don Farrell, who apparently volunteered to make way. Or did he? Well, yes, but only after Anthony Albanese had made it clear as leader that he wanted Don Farrell gone and Christina Keneally as the deputy Senate leader.
Don Farrell made the decision himself. I make that point. He was prepared to step aside as Labor's deputy leader in the Senate on the basis that he understood that I'd made it clear that my view was there needed to be gender balance in Labor's leadership team.
It wasn't only Don Farrell making way for Christina Keneally to become Deputy Senate Leader for Labor. As we discussed on the program yesterday, Ed Husic also had to make way for Senator Keneally to be on the front bench at all by giving up his own spot from the 6 positions that are allocated to the New South Wales right of the Labor Party. Ed Husic also made his own decision here to step back, but again, only after Anthony Albanese had made his views clear.
He has taken a decision voluntarily without anyone talking to him. He had a look at what was going on and made a decision to step back in the short term. I don't regard this as a captain's call at all. What I regard this is making clear my views of what is required in order for us to move forward.
Not a captain's call, perhaps, but a captain's suggestion that was promptly followed. The new leadership team of Anthony Albanese, Richard Marles, Penny Wong and Christina Keneally, as you can see, there fronted a press conference. This was just over an hour ago here in Parliament House, in which Senator Keneally thanked both Ed Husic and Don Farrell.
The Australian Labor Party takes seriously its commitment to gender equality. And I see in the actions of Ed Husic and Don Farrell that commitment in real action. I acknowledge them. I thank them.
Now, at the same press conference, Anthony Albanese went a little further, in fact, in identifying some of the problems with Labor's policies, some of the problems Bill Shorten wasn't willing to acknowledge this afternoon at least. Specifically, the plan to end cash refunds for franked dividends.
So there were people who, for example, someone I met up in Caboolture who was getting $1,200 from that. They felt as though we weren't giving them respect and that we were classifying them as wealthy. They weren't wealthy.
So that's one fairly obvious policy that looks set to be either dumped or fixed, perhaps with a cap on how much can be claimed with these franking credit cash refunds. More broadly, though, Anthony Albanese also identified the self-employed, who may not necessarily be wealthy, but certainly rely on their assets, as those that Labor needs to reconnect with.
I spoke to a fellow who runs a business near Narangba at the Narangba Valley Tavern on Tuesday night. He employs 25 people. He makes outdoor furniture. He left school at a very young age and has built a business. He felt as though he was alienated from us. That's the truth. No point gilding the lily here. He felt like our approach to him was that he was rich. He said he had a lot of assets. He didn't have much cash in the bank. I want to appeal to people who are successful.
These are the right messages for Anthony Albanese to be sending, no doubt about it. He's got to go through the process of caucus working out how to change, dump, fix some of the policies that were the problem for Labor.